Rosansky and Magdo. These are the names of two victims that federal prosecutors allege were gunned down on the orders of the infamous Aryan Brotherhood, directed from their prison cells in California. They were both found to the head in Lomita, California, which is a little city in a part of LA called the South Bay. So you go from Compton over to Gardena, over to Torrance, and between Torrance and Redondo Beach, just south of that is Lomita, and then that's just north of where the fires are at. That South Bay area is a hotbed of hardcore white street gang and prison gang members. Public Enemy #1, Nazi lowriders used to be from over there. And those two victims I just mentioned, one has a Russian name and one is a Jewish name, because one was a strong arm for, well, they're both Russian. I think one was a Russian Jew, one's maybe a Chechen. One had just got out of federal prison for PIMPINGing in Hollywood, and the other one had just got out of federal prison for strong arm. He had been hired in a dispute by someone associated with Israeli organized crime, maybe to collect a debt, and he ended up getting in a little shootout with the guy they're going to collect a debt on. So why were these two guys taken out by the AB? Well, state prosecutors, and didn't release that information, but they're pretty sure that they had it done, which is interesting. It shows you that no matter how many indictments the feds and the state put down on these guys, they still keep rocking. This guy is charged with carrying out those orders, and the Russian victim had the stars and markings that you only get from being a member of the Thieves in Law. So was the AB at war with Russian organized crime here in Los Angeles? Well, I'm going to get into the current Aryan Brotherhood indictment, yet another one. They just put away the so-called leadership of the California AB just last year. They gave them all lives in federal court. But let's revisit the situation with the AB's stranglehold on the California prison system through their control of other white criminal gangs, including those out of the South Bay, like Public Enemy #1 and the NLR.
Remembers the beginning.
When we were kids, and when we started this as kids, we were all punk rockers at Disneyland.
He is Brody Davis, a parolee who has done time for intimidating a witness. A far cry from Disneyland, he and his PENI brothers put down roots in the white supremacist skinhead movement, fertilized by hate, still blossoming into racist anger.
And he eventually became an AB, which brought the Public Enemy #1 into a tight alliance with the AB as their foot soldiers while the ABs were still locked down. The Public Enemy #1, PENI as it's called, was in charge of enforcing their will out in the general population.
By the early 90s, PENI had moved to Orange County, which became its main stomping grounds. Anaheim became a familiar haunt.
They were deputized, if you will. Now, for a long time, the infamous Nazi lowriders had served this sort of deputy service to the AB, but a bunch of them ended up getting also locked down.
With AB lockdown, that gave rise to the Nazi lowriders, or NLR, another white supremacist gang that started running the prison yards in the 1990s.
They're straight killers. The lowriders are killers. They're like a rattlesnake. You walk across their shaded area and they're just liable to strike you without much of a warning at all.
And without much warning at all. In January of 1999, the NLR was snake-bit itself. The Department of Corrections named NLR a prison gang, and its members, like the Aryan Brotherhood, are now locked down in special security cells. And that has opened a prison door for PENI.
We are getting intelligence that they are stepping up to take the place of the Nazi lowriders from the main line.
Into the secure housing units, they were part of the groups that had to be let out back in 2015, and the ones that were left on the main line kind of got watered down, so PENI had to step into the fold. So it was very important when Donald Popeye Maza got made an AB, And it's also very important just a few weeks ago when he got on that witness stand.
And when this heavy metal door at Wasco State Prison cranked open in April of 1999, inmate Maza, known as Popeye, was released on parole. Detectives say within 5 hours of his release, Popeye was back in Orange County, seated inside a camper smoking methamphetamine with 2 accomplices and the hit victim, a gang dropout named Billy Ray Austin. According to this felony complaint, Dominic Rizzo, another PENI parolee, beat and held Austin as Popeye plunged a knife into him over and over again. Then, Popeye turned to witnesses and said, "Want some too, punk?"
He said he knew as soon as he saw his name in the indictment that he was going to end up on the witness stand, and the 53-year-old made it official earlier this month, seated next to a federal judge and dressed in a moss green jail jumpsuit. He was on the stand 3 full days recounting his life of crime. He did a lot. His entrance into the AB, his incarceration, and the consequences of his decision to drop out and cooperate with the feds. Quote, "I will be hunted the rest of my life by your client," Maza told an attorney representing one of the AB lawyers during cross-examination.
This particular group has a very great potential for violence and are pretty much unpredictable when that violence may occur.
Correctional Officer Wes Harris says, "It started decades ago with members of the Aryan Brotherhood, or AB, the gang of gangs among white supremacists."
So PENI got its start as kind of just young kids being white supremacists down in Huntington Beach. They got famous in the early 2000s because one of their founders, a guy named Scottish, made the mistake of giving an interview to a local news agency. And actually I talked to his romantic partner from a long time ago, and she told me a lot more, and maybe I'll go further into that story. But long story short, Scottish did a little brief TV interview. They blurred his face, but they could tell who he was, I think from like his pit bull or something in the background, and they came and murked him.
This dog's owner belongs to a group so taken with violence.
His name's Hitman Tank.
He jokes even his pit bull carries a sawed-off shotgun. But later, seeing the dog in action, it's arguable Tank doesn't need a weapon. And as night falls in this remote area near Big Bear,
Myself, I have over 300 guns.
the tattooed hands of Tank's owner ready a .38 revolver.
Meanwhile, Maza went to prison in the early 2000s for attempted murder. He hit a SEX offender and ended up in Pelican Bay, where he met the fellas, and he ended up getting made. And when he joined AB in 07, it was seen by law enforcement as a power play for PENI, turning its members essentially into foot soldiers for the still slammed down AB.
Led by convicted killer John Stinson, the AB are locked away in special units at maximum security prisons like this one at Pelican Bay. This white supremacist ex-convict explains it simply.
I don't know if too many ABs walk in the yard, because ABs are all locked down and they don't have any physical contact with anybody.
When Maza got out in the early 2010s, he did so with a new outlook on life. He claims because people in the AB told him, "Man, don't come back here to prison." Well, that would have been one wise thing, they said. He got baptized, as you see in this photo. He got his racist tattoos removed from his chest. And by his own admission, he was 90% legal, but still 10% illegal. So he found himself back part of this indictment. And of course, sitting at the Christian table doesn't save you from the punishments of your past. Only turning state's evidence can do that, and that's what Maza did. He admitted to conspiring with members of the AB and PENI to murder a man named Michael Thumper Tripp, a fellow gang member who's homicide, prosecutors contend was ordered by, I think, Yandel. Thumper did not end up getting whacked, and he wrote a letter to the court trying to help Maza. And federal prosecutors and Maza both contend as part of his plea deal that he only pretended that he was going to try to hit Thumper. He was scared to tell his AB bosses no. Of course, this is how the prosecutors justify giving him a plea deal. Is it true that he was never going to do it, or he just was incapable or didn't get around to it? Who knows? Prosecutors have agreed, of course, to seek a low-end sentence for Mr. Maza, though it does carry life in prison. But he was very, very important, as evinced by his 3 days of testimony. I'm sure he'll be walking around a meth house near you before the year 2030, if I had to guess. Maza's current whereabouts are unknown. His whereabouts went dark in September 2021 when his info disappeared from the Sacramento County Jail Register, along with the whereabouts of Travis Burhap, the guy who was the point man in a giant AB Method Man and Horse conspiracy. He pled guilty for plotting with Renegade Randell and Danny Troxel to a specific homicide, murking one of their AB brothers, a guy named James Mickey. And once again, he was given the same excuse as Donald Maza. Burhap said he was never intending to actually do it. He just told him yes, so they'd leave him alone. Burhap may never have actually earned his rack. Burhap got let in because he was a real serious drug dealer, and he generated a lot of money. So Burhap had been ordered to personally hit this AB Mickey, and in order to gain entrance into the AB and avoid the repercussions of not doing it, he agreed to arrange a hit on him at Calipatria State Prison in August of 2016, though his hurt wasn't in it, according to the deal he signed with prosecutors. Interesting. I mean, some of the people you think would never get out and are the worst ones are walking around, and different people get roped into different things. Crime in general, the court system in prison is very chaotic. You never know where you might end up. So best not to get involved.